This wasn't a launch. This was a cultural detonation. When Shedeur Sanders' Nike merchandise dropped, it didn't just sell out. It brought the internet to its knees. Servers crashed, inventories vanished in minutes, payment platforms froze, customer service lines lit up like emergency dispatch centers. And within just 24 hours, Nike had moved over $70 million in gear, an unheard-of number for any athlete, let alone a rookie, who hasn't even taken a professional snap. To put it simply, nothing like this has ever happened in sports marketing history. Analysts compared the chaos to Michael Jordan's peak-era launches with the Bulls. But even Jordan had time to build his legend. Shedeur? He did this off potential alone, off energy, off presence, and off a fan base that stretches far beyond football. This wasn't football merch. This was fashion. This was culture. This was a movement. What followed was even more surreal. Nike executives were caught off guard. Emergency restocks were ordered. Competitors scrambled to strategy rooms. Adidas, Under Armour, and New Balance went into full-blown panic mode. Social media exploded. TikToks, reaction videos, style breakdowns. It spread faster than any paid campaign ever could. And all of it revolved around one college-aged athlete with a last name everyone knows, and a brand that suddenly meant everything. So how did it happen? How did Sanders go from coach's son with good tape to the face of a retail revolution? What made fans, influencers, athletes, and artists all jump in at once? And why is this being called the moment marketing changed forever? This goes way beyond sales numbers, because what just happened isn't just rare. It may have just redefined the game. Let's break it all down. At first, Nike expected a hit, maybe even a big one. After all, Sanders was already generating hype from college fans, sneakerheads, and cultural critics alike. But no one, and that includes Nike's top brass, expected this. Within the first 60 seconds of launch, Nike's website experienced an 847% spike in traffic. The platform buckled, checkout queues glitched, customers were getting sold-out messages before they could even enter their credit card info. In less than 24 hours, over $70 million in Sanders-branded merchandise was gone. That number isn't just shocking. It shatters every rookie merchandising benchmark in league history. Sources inside Nike's merchandising division described the atmosphere as controlled chaos. Emergency meetings began almost immediately. Fulfillment centers were overwhelmed. IT teams scrambled to keep the site online. In some warehouses, inventory levels were dropping faster than internal systems could even update. It was a digital stampede, and no one was ready for it. Even more amazing, this wasn't a slow burn. According to retail analytics, the surge wasn't spread out over hours. It hit all at once, an instant explosive detonation of consumer demand. Think game console launches, limited sneakers, concert pre-sales. But this time, it wasn't kids chasing trends. This was something bigger. Insiders say Nike's internal projections were ambitious and still wildly underestimated real demand. Limited edition items disappeared instantly. Logo tees listed as coming soon were gone within minutes of becoming available. The company had to scramble just to preserve functionality. Meanwhile, tens of thousands of fans couldn't complete their purchase, and that frustration only fueled more buzz. Because the harder it became to get Sanders gear, the more people wanted it. And suddenly, Nike realized what it had on its hands wasn't just a successful drop. It was a cultural event, and the economics were only part of the shockwave. Let's be clear, comparisons to Michael Jordan don't get thrown around lightly. But inside Nike's halls, it's already happening. Not in terms of legacy, but in terms of launch velocity. Insiders say the only time they've seen anything similar to Shedeur Sanders' rollout was in the 1990s, when Jordan's Air Jordans routinely turned malls into madhouses and sparked resale markets before hype culture even had a name. But here's the twist that has industry veterans stunned. Shedeur hasn't even played a professional game yet. Think about that. Jordan had championships, MVPs, and global fame before his merchandise lit up sales charts. Sanders? He's coming straight out of college, armed with social presence, style, confidence, and a fan base that treats him like a cultural phenomenon, not a prospect. And yet, Sanders moved more merchandise in a single day than most full-product campaigns do over entire quarters. For Nike, this moment raised a serious question. What if the old model is dead? Before, athletes proved themselves on the field first. Branding came second. But this launch flipped that equation. With the right story, the right style, and organic reach, it turns out you can create a superstar moment before the scoreboard ever lights up. Nike is calling this a paradigm shift. Instead of betting purely on stats or titles, they bet on cultural capital. And it worked. They poured millions into the Sanders brand before he ever set foot on an NFL field. Now, with $70 million in day one sales, that risk paid off in a way even the most optimistic projections didn't dare predict. Shedeur Sanders didn't just sell out product. He may have just sold out the old way of thinking. This wasn't just football merch flying off shelves. This was a full-blown crossover moment. The second Shedeur Sanders gear hit the market, it jumped straight out of the sports bubble and into the world of fashion, music, and cultural influence. Within hours, celebrities weren't just congratulating Sanders, they were wearing his gear. Rappers were seen in the limited edition tees. Style influencers posted unboxing videos like they just scored high fashion drops. TikToks popped up, showing fans styling Sanders apparel with designer sneakers, gold chains, and custom streetwear fits. This wasn't sports apparel anymore. It was a flex piece. What caught Nike off guard wasn't just how fast it sold out. It was who was buying. According to retail data, a massive portion of customers weren't football fans at all. They were fashion-first buyers, music lovers, global streetwear heads, people who view clothing as culture, not merchandise. Some even called it the first NFL drop that felt like a Supreme release. Even more surprising, online chatter showed international fans saying they didn't care about Sanders' stats or game film. They wanted in on the movement. The clean logo, the energy, the vibe. Something about the drop felt different, like catching lightning in a bottle before it got overhyped. And that's the magic Nike leaned into without trying to control it. Because Sanders wasn't trying to fit the mold. He was setting it on fire. His style is flashy, but not forced. His confidence is clear, but not corny. He represents a new archetype, part quarterback, part icon, part influencer. And when someone hits that trifecta, the drop isn't about the product anymore. It's about what it represents. Online chaos was only half the story. While Nike's site was melting down, retail stores across the country were dealing with something even crazier: real-world pandemonium. At flagship locations in cities like New York, Atlanta, Chicago, and LA, fans showed up hours before sunrise, some camping out overnight just to get a shot at owning a single Sanders item. By opening time, lines were wrapping around entire city blocks, with hundreds, sometimes thousands, waiting in line. Managers quickly realized this wasn't a normal product launch. According to store employees, they started calling security teams before doors even opened. Some locations had to implement lottery systems, while others limited fans to one item per person just to control the chaos. In several spots, things nearly boiled over. Local law enforcement reportedly had to monitor crowds to prevent fights from breaking out. One employee described the crowd as more intense than any Jordan release we've ever seen. And that includes the Concords. And the wildest part? Many people waiting in those lines weren't there to flip product. They weren't resellers or bots in disguise. These were fans, fashion heads, college students, and hype beasts, all wanting a piece of the moment. Not the resale market, the experience. Multiple stores across the country reportedly sold out their entire shipment within 90 minutes, despite strict purchase restrictions. Suddenly, shirts and hoodies that retailed for $49 were going for hundreds on StockX and eBay, and they weren't even sneakers. This level of retail hysteria is usually reserved for console launches, luxury collabs, or celebrity sneaker releases. But this time, it was for a rookie quarterback, and it hit harder than most brands could dream. Because this wasn't just hype. This was history happening live. While fans were still refreshing web pages and lining up around corners, something else was happening. Boardrooms were melting down. Inside competing brands like Adidas, Under Armour, and New Balance, sources say there was instant panic. Emergency meetings were called, Slack channels exploded, marketing executives wanted answers, fast. How did Nike do this? Who missed the Sanders wave? And more importantly, how do we catch up? At Adidas HQ, one insider reportedly described the mood as frantic but fascinated. Strategy teams began dissecting Nike's campaign piece by piece, studying the design rollout, influencer push, social timing, and even the tone of Sanders' Instagram captions. Under Armour, still reeling from years of shaky athlete partnerships, brought in their talent scouting team to review every collegiate name they might have overlooked. Because now it wasn't just about athletic potential. It was about market gravity, cultural relevance, style, story, and signal. It became painfully clear. Nike just rewrote the playbook. This wasn't about waiting for an MVP or a championship ring. This was about investing early in someone who could move culture now. Someone who didn't just play the game, but shaped how it was perceived. That kind of impact? It doesn't come around often. Financial analysts started doing their own math. Sanders' launch didn't just impact Nike's numbers, it could shift the market itself. One sports branding advisor bluntly stated, Nike turned a 22-year-old college kid into a billion-dollar blueprint. The rest of the industry is officially playing catch-up. In short, Shedeur's success didn't just shake up retail. It shattered the old model and gave every rival brand a wake-up call they weren't ready for. Because while they were chasing stats and shoe deals, Nike was busy backing the future of influence. The most shocking part of this launch? It didn't stop at America's borders. While Sanders' dominance was expected to draw attention in the US, Nike's international teams weren't prepared for what came next. Within hours, retail analytics flagged unusual patterns. Reshipping services out of the UK, Germany, Japan, and Australia maxed out. Middle Eastern retailers were requesting emergency inventory transfers. Distributors in South America were recording, and this is not an exaggeration, the fastest NFL-related sellouts in regional history. The global optics were clear. Shedeur Sanders had gone global, all without playing a single NFL game. Nike's European divisions reported website crashes in Germany and France. Popular streetwear and urban fashion accounts across Asia were sharing product photos and styling tips, tagging Sanders, despite no real NFL fanbase in their regions. In Tokyo, resale prices for the limited logo hoodie reached over $400 USD, days before more established football stars saw a single sale. How? It comes down to one word: aesthetic. Shedeur's brand was built with international appeal in mind. A clean logo, a universal vibe, and a style that speaks louder than the sport itself. He wasn't tied to traditional football branding. He looked like luxury streetwear from the moment the visuals dropped. Add in the global reach of TikTok and Instagram Reels, and suddenly you've got one of the most viral crossover launches of the year. Not just in sports apparel, but across all categories. It forced Nike to reroute inventory, expand production in real time, and allocate team resources across continents just to keep up with a demand spike they didn't see coming. In just 24 hours, Sanders proved he wasn't just a domestic phenomenon. He became a global icon in the making. Every brand wants the next big thing. But what set Shedeur Sanders apart had nothing to do with algorithms or marketing tricks. It was authenticity. In a world where athletes are carefully packaged, media-trained, and overly commercialized, Sanders comes across as something rare, completely himself. And that's exactly what made this launch explode. From the start, Shedeur didn't follow the blueprint. He didn't try to mimic stars before him or chase traditional endorsement formulas. He's flashy, yes, but it doesn't feel try-hard. His style isn't filtered through sponsors. His Instagram captions sound like him, not a PR team. He makes videos that aren't perfectly polished, but people love them because they're real. He's not playing a character. He is the brand. Industry insiders say that's the secret sauce. Nike didn't force a narrative. They tapped into one he was already building, day by day, post by post. And for Gen Z and younger millennials, that matters more than any win-loss record. There's also the family factor. Shedeur is Deion Sanders' son, but he's never ridden that wave. Instead of clinging to legacy, he's built his own identity, his own voice, his own lane. That balance between legacy and independence, confidence and humility, makes his story relatable, aspirational, and marketable all at once. Fashion influencers, young athletes, even people who don't watch football connect with him. Why? Because he represents more than a rising player. He embodies the new archetype, part quarterback, part businessman, part content creator. And the merch? It's not just a shirt you wear to a tailgate. It's a statement that you saw it coming, that you were early, that you're in on the moment. Because in a world full of polished plastic mending, realness is the real commodity. And Sanders? He's cornered the market. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a trending athlete anymore. He's become a live business case study, actively reshaping how marketing, branding, and influence are taught in classrooms across the country. Within 48 hours of the launch, marketing professors at top universities were already referencing the drop-in lectures. Business schools began assigning team projects on the campaign strategy. Media studies departments opened discussions on the intersection of athlete influence, social media, and consumer psychology. One professor at NYU's Stern School, Duvin, tweeted, "This isn't just a product drop, it's a new playbook." From a commercialization standpoint, it's unlike anything the sports world has seen. The precision, the timing, the virality. It was a textbook perfect launch, but what makes it unique is how organic it felt. No Super Bowl ad, no billion-dollar TV campaign, no celebrity cosign needed. Just one athlete, one brand, and a message that hit. Students analyzing the numbers are finding that Sanders' launch outperformed multi-million-dollar campaigns from Fortune 500 brands. And he did it with fewer resources, but more authenticity. Now, media schools are exploring how Sanders managed to command attention across generations, industries, and continents without burning out credibility. Communication students are studying how one human being can deliver both mass appeal and niche connection without losing either. Even tech-focused programs are digging into the back-end data. From Shopify traffic spikes and social media metrics to influencer engagement rates and real-time profitability. What's typically dissected by marketing veterans years after the fact is happening in real time, live-streamed for the world to see, and downloaded into lecture slides by Monday morning. Because this isn't about football anymore. It's about a cultural shift being taught as it's happening. And Sanders isn't just playing the game anymore. He's becoming part of the curriculum. What started as a merch drop quickly became a warning shot to the entire industry. In just 24 hours, Shedeur Sanders moved $70 million worth of product, crashed Nike's infrastructure, rewired global marketing playbooks, and put every competing brand on red alert. But here's the wildest part. This wasn't the peak. This was the opening act. Because everyone's asking the same questions now. Can Nike keep up with demand without diluting the brand? Will Sanders' on-field performance impact the hype? And most importantly, is this repeatable, or was this lightning in a bottle? For now, what's clear is this. The Sanders launch broke the mold. It proved that athlete influence is no longer just about wins, rings, or stats. It's about presence, personality, relevance. Being unforgettable before the trophy gets lifted. And that unlocks a world of new possibilities for brands, creators, storytellers, and athletes themselves. From locker rooms to lecture halls, this moment will be studied, duplicated, and chased for years to come. Nike bet big and won big. But the true winner might be Shedeur himself. Unlike most rookies, he's not waiting for a breakout moment. He is the moment. No one's asking if he can sell jerseys anymore. They're asking how far this brand can go. Luxury collabs, tech ventures, international endorsements. At this point, nothing feels out of reach. And whether you're a fan, a skeptic, or somewhere in between, one thing's undeniable. The game just changed. Authenticity isn't an asset anymore. It's a requirement. Cultural currency doesn't come from stats. It comes from connection. And athlete branding isn't about selling merch. It's about owning the moment before anyone else even realizes it's here. Welcome to the new era. And Shedeur Sanders, he's not just part of it, he's the blueprint.